another tribe down in South Africa today, okay, who trace their lineage from Jerusalem. All right? Because the Bible tells you over and over the so-called Israelites were so-called black people.
Didn't want to read it, receiving it from the Catholics. Mine couldn't conceive it, believing it from the Baptists. The Hebrews wasn't white, so they running all out of actors. Searching through the chapters and seeing they got it backwards. Kindly tell the truth and the rage in them only escalated. Every word they hated, but none want to debate it. So what I'm supposed to do? Let them fake it until they make it. Nah, bowing to the idols, my power's bowing to take them down. Non-believers smoking while Christians drinking the potion. Everybody's high on that lie when the demon's spoken. Alive on the rival with Bruce, we all awoke with. Vision kinda blurry, he's realigning the focus. Gotta tell the truth if it fills the room or it clears it out. Peers don't wanna hear, so I'm filled with a lot of fears and doubts. You gave me the heart, so it's time to put the action in. Praises that I gave you on earth will only be practiced.
If the truth is what you see, then there's no need to look further than the words written on stone. Find your grace when you believe. The body of the one without sin being hung on the cross, living the life that you should lead. Thankful every day that I live here in tears, giving praise to the Most High. Giving praise to the Most High.
All right. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Welcome everybody. Hopefully my mic is good, my video is good. If that's the case, put a 1 in the comments. If my audio is good and my video is good, somebody please put a 1 in the comments before we get into the reading and we have to start all over. Mic check. Okay. Brother Emmanuel Bronson, Shabbat shalom. He says we're good over in Facebook land. Shabbat shalom, brother Chick. He says we're good in YouTube land. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the word. Matter of fact, as a short introduction, before we get into it, before we get into the reading, you know what I'm saying, I came across you know what I'm saying, the inspiration for this topic in particular because, you know, we're getting into what they call the holiday season, you know, and this is one of the big money makers for, you know what I'm saying, the economy, for a lot of things. So you have to understand why a lot of propaganda, you know what I'm saying, makes its way, you know what I'm saying, and why they fight so hard against you learning the truth of the scriptures and a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Once you come into the knowledge of the truth, there's a lot of things you discontinue doing. And one of the things you discontinue doing is paying homage to these holidays, right? You stop spending money, you know what I'm saying? You stop taking value in what they call Black Friday, you know what I'm saying, which is their economic boost, right? So that's one of the reasons why, you know what I'm saying, a lot of people don't really understand why they're being steered away from the truth, right? They're being steered away from learning the truth because why? It's an economic, you know what I'm saying, gain from it. You know what I'm saying? Your ignorance is an economic gain, you know what I'm saying, for folks. But we have to overcome that. So let's just go ahead and get into the word. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna let the lesson speak for itself. Don't let it speak for itself, right? So let's get into it. Let's go into Micah chapter 3. We'll do Micah chapter 3 for devotion. All right. And we'll read that in its entirety and we'll get into it. Hold on, let me get us a parallel for the KJV people. I know there's some people that really don't trust the ISR for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it. Micah chapter 3, starting at that very first verse, it says, "Then I said, hear now, O heads of Jacob, and you rulers of the house of Israel. Should you not know right ruling? You who are hating good and loving evil, tearing away the skin from my people and the flesh from their bones, and who have eaten the flesh of my people, and stripped off their skin, and have broken their bones, and have cut it up as into a pot, like flesh in the cooking pot. Therefore, when they cry to Yahweh, he does not answer them, and he hides his face from them at that time, as they have made their deeds evil. Thus said Yahweh concerning the prophets who lead my people astray, who are biting their teeth and have called out peace. They have even they even set apart a battle against him who does not give for their mouths. Therefore, it shall be night to you without vision, and darkness to you without divination. The sun shall go down on the prophets, and the day shall be dark for them. And the seers shall be ashamed, and the diviners embarrassed, and they shall all cover their lips, for there is no answer, O Elohim. But truly I am filled with power, with the spirit of Yahweh, and with right ruling, and with might, to declare to Jacob his transgressions, and Israel his sins. Hear this, please, you heads of the house of Jacob, and the rulers of the house of Israel, who despise right ruling, for distort all that is straight, those building up Zion with bloodshed, and Jerusalem with unrighteousness. Here, heads judge for a bribe, her priests teach for pay, and her prophets divine for a price. Yet they lean on Yah and say, is not Yah in our midst? Evil does not come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion is plowed like a field, and Jerusalem becomes heaps, and the mountains of the house like wooden heights. All right. So that being the case, you know what I'm saying, the Most High's word is already blessed. We're just going to go ahead and go with it, right? We're going to go ahead and go with it. What does it profit? What does it really profit? All right. If you have to forfeit your soul. All right. A lot of people don't really understand what blessings from the Most High really contain, what it's really about. You know what I'm saying? And they confuse it with money. All right. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. The root of all evil. All right. There's some people that misquote that. They say, you know what I'm saying, money is the root of all evil. No, it's not money. It's the love of money. The value people place on money is the root of all evil. If you even do a research on what actually starts all wars, you know what I'm saying? Banks start wars. Why? Because it's all about money, right? When it comes to what they're doing next week, what they call Thanksgiving, all right, which is a holiday hell day, which is a wicked day in and of itself. You know, as soon as it gets dark, what are they doing? Going shopping on what they call Black Friday. All right. It's not the money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money that is the root of all evil. All right. That's the same reason why sex sells. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why. We was just looking at this in the field of hip hop. Like, if you rap and you make music about positivity, you know, you don't get on the radio for that. You don't get videos made for that. You don't get money for that. You can't profit off of that. But as soon as you start making songs about selling drugs, shooting your ops, you know what I'm saying, and whatever kind of evil, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with your brother's wife and all types of debauchery, you know what I'm saying? Yes, then that sells, right? So it doesn't profit an individual to make positive music. It only profits them. Why? You know what I'm saying? It's the love of money. Folks will compromise that. Pastors in these churches, right? Some of them who know the truth, know, you know what I'm saying, the biblical definition of sin and the biblical explanation of tithing won't teach that. Why? Because we just read it in Micah 3. They preach for a price. It's for a price, right? They won't teach it. Hey, it's a lot. There's a lot that we can cover. We can cover, you know what I'm saying, why folks would even go so far as to splurge on Valentine's Day. It's the love of money. It's the reason why you stooped and all of that foolishness, right? Listen, it says, I saved a lot on the holidays by switching to the truth, right? Switched a lot. I saved a lot of, you do save a lot of money by switching to the truth once you understand that these so-called holidays are not to be celebrated according to the Most High, right? When he tells you to learn not the way of the heathen, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you pocket a lot of money because you ain't running out there on what they call Black Friday, right? You're not feeling oppressed and depressed because you feel like you have to go out and buy gifts, you know what I'm saying, to show your love, right? Once a year. It is what it is. All right. I got it up here. It says, you know what I'm saying, what is the average amount of money people spending on holidays, right? It says the average American, it may spend nearly, you know what I'm saying, $1,500 on the holidays, right? Some more, you know what I'm saying? I know a lot of folks that spend way more than that. All right. Here's the season to be spending. Holiday retail sales are predicted to soar as high as 960 billion, according to the National Retail Federation. In 2021, overall holiday spending reached a record 889 billion, right? They're not playing with y'all. All right. They're making themselves rich off of your ignorance, right? Even the church, you know what I'm saying? We'll deal with the tithe lie, you know what I'm saying, a little bit later. We'll do more of that later. But I love this quote by the good brother Bob Marley, all right? And it makes a lot of sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. He says, money is numbers, and numbers never end, all right? If it takes money to be happy, your search for happiness will never end, all right? And you know what I'm saying? And I had a thought about that, like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of folks assume like if I had $1 million or if I made it, you know what I'm saying, made it to the millions, I'll be satisfied. I'll be comfortable. But then when you understand, when you get to the class of millions, there's people with tens of millions, right? Every time you reach a certain number, there's another goal to reach. So it seems like those who have all the money are never satisfied. Why? Because money is numbers and numbers never end. There's always another class above that. There's millionaires, you know what I'm saying, millionaire rappers, you know, that you know, are not satisfied because they look at Jay-Z. Jay-Z's a billionaire. You know, numbers never end. Numbers never end. All right. Genesis chapter 3 and 17. We'll just stay here for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to understand that, you know what I'm saying? Money in and of itself, you know what I'm saying? We need it, right? We have bills. We have to eat. All right. And if you don't work, you don't eat. Of course, right? It wasn't always like that in Genesis chapter 3 and 17. You know what I'm saying? The Most High provided before Genesis 3 and 17. In the beginning, the Most High provided everything that we needed. But But listen what it says in verse 17. And to the man he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife, and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, saying, do not eat of it. Cursed is the ground, right? Because of you. And toil you are to eat of it all the days of your life, right? So we wanted to bring that out, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not trying to say that, hey, you better off being poor, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. No, we know you got bills, you got to sustain yourself, this, that, and the third, right? But we're going to get into how the scriptures tell you how you are to abound and to abase, how you are to be content, right? In certain situations, so on and so forth. Don't let your eyes be fooled. Don't let your eyes be fooled, you know what I'm saying, and understand what a real blessing is. Let's get Matthew chapter 16 and verse 26, right? Because this is the underlining point. This is the underlining point. He says, for what is a man profited if he shall what? Gain the whole world and lose his own soul. There's a lot of people that, you know what I'm saying, mistakenly assume that the blessing is the resources, is the house, is the cars, is the money. You know, I'm blessed because I have things, right? That's not what it means to be blessed. You know what I'm saying? Because the scriptures tells us for what? All right. What did you profit? You can't take it with you, right? There's a saying that says, he who dies with the most toys wins what? Everything that you get is going to be laid up for somebody else when you leave. That's why people make wills, right? They have beneficiaries. A lot of folks, you know, we had our ancestors had owned land back in the day, right? And then sometimes in certain situations, certain circumstances, they didn't establish a will or a beneficiary. So it went to the estate. And then in its course of going through the state, it was distributed to all the family members. And there was a lot of family members who had moved up north who wanted no parts of that land. And when they were offered money, sold it. And the relatives who were still down south on the land had to do what? Give up what was sold, right? Give up part of their land, so on and so forth. Everything that you get on this earth you're gonna have to leave it behind. All right. So you can't keep your mind on temporary things, but on eternal things, right? So what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Something to consider. Let's get it. All right. Because a lot of people have what? Faith in their riches. Faith in their riches. And we'll go into Acts chapter 20. All right. And actually, when you read that whole parable, you know, this is talking about when the disciples and, you know, Peter and them was going around laying hands on folks, and they were receiving the ruach. They were receiving the spirit. All right. And there's this rich dude that was watching them do that too. He's like, yo, let me pay you so I can have that power too. Right. It says, but Kepha said to him, let your silver perish with you, because you thought to buy the gift of Elohim through money. A lot of people assume, you know what I'm saying, that money is the end all be all, is the answer to all questions, right? But not always, right? What did the man say, right? When he was like, well, what was the scripture? And I don't have the address, but he was laying at the gate, right? He was a beggar. He was laying at the gate begging for alms, and people was walking around him and stepping over him, right? But then Peter and John came up on him, you know what I'm saying, and was like, silver and gold have I none, but such as I have, give I unto thee, right? And he lifted down his hand and, you know what I'm saying, picked that man up. And the scripture says that his ankle and, you know what I'm saying, his ankle bones gained strength. Why? Because what he needed, he thought he needed the money. A lot of people assume money is the answer to everything. No, but what he needed, you know what I'm saying, was the ruach. What he needed was Christ Yahushua. He didn't need a handout. He needed a hand up. And a lot of people don't really understand it in that context. So let's keep it moving. This is the reality. 2 Timothy 3, chapter 1, verses 1 through 7. Right. And we'll get that real quick so we can read it in its entirety. Right. But what does it talk about? The condition of people in the last days. A lot of people really can't, you know what I'm saying, get get beyond things because they assume, right? They assume that money is what it takes. Or not only that, but they're all about themselves. They're all about themselves, right? And we'll get into, you know what I'm saying, the selfishness of the church, this, that, and the third. But let's see what it says in 2 Timothy chapter 3. All right. It says, but know this, that in the last days, all right, perilous times shall come. For men shall be what? Lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontent. Right? That was the word I really wanted to pull out of this. Incontent, because why? It's all about them, right? Fierce despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure, right? Rather than lovers of Elohim, all right? Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, right? For this are such that creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sin, led away with diverse lusts, all right? And ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. That's the state of our people. That is the state of our people, right? Covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, right? And incontent, lovers of pleasures, creatures of comfort, right? You assume, you know what I'm saying, a person, and it is a lot of cases, individuals with a lot of money, you know, they have a lot of security, especially when in circumstances of health, right? Circumstances of health, they get sick, they have insurance, right? They can go see a good doctor. But what I've learned, you know, in recent months is that a lot of people have more faith in money and medicine than they do in the Most High. And that's a sad thing, because a lot of people don't really understand when they take that attitude, right? They might be solving a temporary ailment and causing a permanent one. But they can't see the forest of the trees because they assume that this money thing, you know what I'm saying, is what's going to get them there, right? It is what it is. I'm just clicking back and forth, making sure everything is good. And Shabbat Shalom, Akira. Good to see you, baby. All right, so let's get back to it. All right, Matthew chapter 6, verses 24 through 25. It says, no one is able to do what? Serve two masters, for either he shall hate the one and love the other, or else he shall cleave to the one and despise the other. You are not able to serve Elohim and Mammon, right? What does Mammon stand for? It's talking about money. All right. And even just looking at this this meme right here, or this picture, right? Understand that who's behind the record labels and so on and so forth, right? He's signing a contract, even though the word contract is upside down. That's more for you to read than for him, right? But the reason they make the money that make the music that they make, right, is because they can't make money telling you anything good. They can't make money teaching you something positive or teaching you the truth. Kanye West said in his Jesus Walk song, if I talk about God, my records won't get played. That's just the reality. But you talk about everything else, and you know what I'm saying, because it pays you. That's why the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money is what has us going through a vicious cycle. And for those of us, we have to understand this. Those of us who know the truth, Satan ain't concerned about you knowing the truth and you bucking against it and you fighting against it and you teaching people. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he's only after the next generation. What's the ratchet chick name? Was it Sexy Red or some mess? Y'all help me out. Then you got the Scarlet chick and you know, Krishan and you know what I'm saying, Rock or whatever. All of these, they're singing about the most dumbest, ratchetest stuff, right? like they making it seem like for our daughters that it's cool to fail. It's cool to fail. It's cool to be just dumb and ignorant and trifling and nasty. Now we hear it and we're like, that's just stupid, right? But they don't care that we feel that way because they're about, you know what I'm saying, capturing the imagination of the youth, right? They're digging it. And at the same time, every generation, you know what I'm saying, is degraded even further. They fall even further, right? We once listened to hip hop music and they were talking about, you know what I'm saying, calling women bees and, you know what I'm saying, shooting each other and this, that, and the third, but it was entertainment, right? Then the next generation did what? Took it further. You see how the love of money, you know what I'm saying, in this whole circumstance of, you know what I'm saying, they won't promote it if it's not wicked. Got our people compromising. You know what I'm saying? And we're being destroyed. And not only that, you know what I'm saying, might as well bring this point. We're the only race that has music that degrades, you know what I'm saying, that talks ill about it, you know, ourselves, each other. There's no other race of people that do that to themselves. Only us. And we can get into the curses and why that is later, but it is what it is. Just realize it. He says, because this I say to you, do not worry about your life. All right. What you shall eat or drink, or about your body, what you shall put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than the clothes? There's a lot to take away from that, right? And all of that and consumed in, you know what I'm saying, loving the world. 2 Timothy chapter 3, we was talking about lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of Elohim, right? We're given instruction in 1 John 2 and 15. He says, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world, right? If this principle was applied, you know what I'm saying, or was able to be established, you know what I'm saying, we wouldn't have it so bad with the artists, right? But he loves, you know what I'm saying, this individual loves the world, those like him. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. Nobody concerned with teaching you the truth or leading you in the right direction. Why? It doesn't benefit them, right? There's no financial gain in that. Let's get 1 Timothy chapter 6. Let's look at verses 7 through 12 real quick. It says, for we brought nothing into the world, right? And it is impossible to take anything out, right? We have food and covering. We shall be satisfied with these. But those wishing to be rich fall into trial and a snare, and into many foolish and injurious lusts, which plunge men in ruin and destruction. For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, for which some, by longing for it, have strayed from the belief, right? And pierced themselves through with many pains. But you, O man of Elohim, flee from all of this and pursue righteousness, reverence, belief, love, endurance, meekness. Fight the good fight of belief, right? Lay hold on everlasting life, to which you were also called and have confessed with good confession before many witnesses, right? You brought nothing into this world. It's impossible to take it with you. So, you know what I'm saying, dying with the most toys, you got to give it to somebody. I understand there's a blessing in creating generational wealth, right? But if you lose sight on why you were put here in the first place, then you know what I'm saying, it did you a disservice. It did you a disservice, right? What profit the man to gain the world and lose his own soul? Yeah, this is one of my favorite scriptures in Proverbs 14 and 12. There is a way which seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. Okay, let's get it. Continuing in Timothy, all right, 1 Timothy 6. Let's get it. Let's get 17 through 19. It says, charge those, right? Charge those in this present age Salakia. Charge those who are rich in this present age not to be high-minded, nor to trust in the uncertainty of riches, but in the living Elohim who gives us richly all for enjoyment, to do, right? To be rich in good works, to be generous, ready to share, storing up for themselves a good foundation for the time to come, so that they lay hold on what? Everlasting life, right? That's what it's about. Let's get into this whole thing about capitalism. This is what I put as the description. See? A lot of people don't understand capitalism is religion, right? It's the #1 religion. Banks are churches, right? Bankers are the priests. Wealth is heaven. Poverty is hell. Rich people are saints. Poor people are sinners. Commodities are blessings, and money is God, right? Peep the hypocrisy, right? Capitalism. You don't need it, but you want it, right? So buy it. Capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. Characteristics central to capitalism include private property, capital accumulation, wage labor, voluntary exchange, a price system, a competitive market. All right. In a capitalist market economy, decision-making and investment are determined by the owners of the factors of production and financial and capital markets. And prices and distribution of goods are mainly determined by competition in the market. You ever wondered how or why the prices of things go up, but wages haven't? There's a lot we can get into that. Let's jump back into Micah 3 real quick. He says in verses 9-12, hear this, please, you heads of the house of Jacob, all right, and you rulers of the house of Israel who despise right ruling and distort all that is straight. Those building up Zion with bloodshed and Jerusalem with unrighteousness, right? Those who, you know what I'm saying, are doing all of this stuff. Why? Because it's financially beneficial. There was a meme back in the day in Facebook. I forget how long ago it was, but it was talking about, it said I should quit my job, you know what I'm saying, and become a pastor. You know what I mean? Because folks would rather lie to folks, if you know what I'm saying, if it'll benefit them. Just look at, go watch that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not giving it promotion, but just to make the point of the context, go watch that Preachers of LA, right? And every sin and abomination up under the sun is being done by these dudes, but they're rich and they're getting richer, right? It ain't about God. It ain't about the truth, right? It ain't about saving your soul and making sure that your name is written in the Lamb's book of life. But this is what the scripture is talking about, right? Because what does he say? He says, her heads judge for a bribe, her priests teach for pay, and her prophets divine for a price. I forget the light-skinned preacher name on the show, but he was like, if these people can't pay me $5,000 to preach at their church, I'm not the minister for them. Her judges judge for a bribe, her priests teach for pay, and her prophets divine for a price. Yet they lean on Yah and say, it's not Yah in our midst, it's not God in our midst. Isn't he in our midst? Evil does not come upon us. Therefore, because of you, Zion is plowed like a field, and Jerusalem becomes heaps, and the mountains of the house like a wooden height. You're bringing your people down low. Verse 11, it says, what? Her heads do what? Judge for bribe. Her priests teach for pay. Her prophets divine for a price. I went to a church service one time, and they invited prophetess Teresa Cox, right? And she basically chastised the whole audience when they brought her the report of how much tithe and offering was received. She said, y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. Y'all got a prophetess in y'all's midst. I don't think she came back. She don't understand how cheap Mansfield is, right? But anyways, her head's judged for a bribe, her priests teach for pay, and her prophets divine for a price. Yet they lean on Yah and say, is not Yah in our midst? Evil does not come upon us. That's because they don't understand that the scripture says there's gods many, lords many, and they don't know which one of these gods or lords they actually serving. Let's get it. Right. And and to back up. Let me back up real quick. Because I already know there was something that I wanted to bring out real quick before we move on to the next subject. It's the good brother Dr. Umar Johnson.
Servitude. And so we have to put the black church to task and ask them, what are you doing with our Jesus money? Let me tell you what they're doing with your Jesus money. Every black church in America has their money in a white bank. It is the white banks that are funding the regentrification ethnic cleansing movement. So all of us go to church. We put $3 million in the church coffers every Sunday. $3 million goes to a white bank every Sunday. And guess what they do on Monday? They take $3 million of black people's white Jesus money, and they give loans to white land developers and businesses and entrepreneurs to come into the ghetto where the church is located, buy up all the property, and force grandma out on the street homeless. Now, grandma been going to that church for 30 years. Grandma been giving that church $50 every Sunday. And lo and behold, grandma had to finally face the reality that it was your Jesus money that put your ass on the street.
Whoa. You know what I'm saying? Hey. It doesn't pay to suffer those lies though. You know what I'm saying? And we can get into the whole situation how, you know what I'm saying, they're not even pastors and preachers and churches ain't even authorized to collect the tithe because they're not the Levitical priests, right? We can go into that whole conversation, but that's not even important. That's not even important. The point is your ignorance is financially, you know what I'm saying, beneficial. Right? Your ignorance is financially beneficial, but let's keep it moving. You get the point. Matter of fact, since Dr. Umar brought it up, you ever notice how the church is always located in the poorest communities? The poorest communities, you find the most churches. And he asked an important question. What has the church done, you know what I'm saying, for the community that is making all its money? It hasn't done anything. It just puts its money in a white bank, right? Who loans its money to folks other than them. Can't make this up. Mark chapter 10, right? Verses 17 through 31. Y'all already know where we're going with this, right? And as he was setting out on the way, one came running, right? And knelt before him and asked him, "Good teacher, what shall I do to inherit everlasting life?" Right? That should be a question for everybody, right? Right. Listen, and Yahushua said to him, "Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, that is Elohim." Right? You know the commandments. Do not commit adultery, do not murder, do not steal, do not bear false witness, do not rob, respect your father and your mother. And he answered and said to him, "Teacher, all these I have watched from my youth." Right? And Yahushua, looking at him, loved him and said to him, "One matter you lack. Go sell all that you possess and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me," taking up the stake. Right? But he, being sad at this word, went away grieved, for he had many possessions. Right? So understand what's most important to this guy and to a lot of folks. Right? Because we've already made the connection that you brought nothing into this world and you can't take anything with you. Christ says, sell all that you have. Sell all that you possess, give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven. Right? So what mattered? What was weightier to the rich young ruler, to the young man? What he had on this side of life was more important to him than what he would gain on the other side. And that's how a lot of people are. That's how a lot of people operate, right? That's why a lot of folks compromise. But he, being sad at this word, went away grieved. For why? He had many possessions. Let's keep it moving. And when Yahushua, looking around, said to his disciples, his taught ones, how hard is it for those who have riches to enter into the kingdom of Elohim, right? And the taught ones were astonished at his words. And Yahushua responded and said to them again, children, how hard is it for those who trust in riches to enter into the kingdom of Elohim? It is easier for a camel to enter in through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. And they were immeasurably astonished, saying among themselves, who then is able to be saved? Right? They understand that they're not saved right now, right? Like how the church, in contrast to how the church teaches it. But hey, listen, he says they were immeasurably astonished, saying among themselves, who then is able to be saved? And looking at them, Christ said, with men it is impossible, but with Elohim, all right, but not with Elohim, for with Elohim all is possible. And Peter, Kepha, began to say to him, see, we have left everything to follow you, right? And Yahushua said, truly, I say to you, there is no one who has left house or brother or sister or father or mother or wife or children or lands for the sake of me and the good news, who shall not receive 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, right? And in the age to come, everlasting life. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. So there's great reward in obedience. There's a lot of reward in obedience, but at the same time, we can't see past our noses. That's what it means to have faith and belief. But it's been distorted, by preachers and by this world and by the wicked one, that your blessing is the money, and is the possessions, it's the cars, it's the house, it's the trips and all of these other things. But at the end of the day, right? Because that's what that whole prosperity gospel is all about. Sow your seed. You see how I'm living. You want to get like me, sow your seed. Certain things just have to become, worth it. Just keep it moving. All right. And we already read that, right? Debt is a form of slavery, right? And understand, and I love this quote by Will Smith. He says, too many people spend money they haven't earned. That's what that whole credit thing is, right? Too many people spend money they haven't earned to buy things they don't need, to impress people they don't like. That's our community in particular. We want money so we can stun on each other. Always in constant competition with each other. But listen, debt is a form of slavery. If you don't know that, right? Debt is a form of slavery. Israelites who became indentured were sold simply to pay off a debt. Right? When you read what slavery really was in the context of the scriptures, it was to either pay off a debt, right? Or to work so you could eat, because another individual had what? Resources, right? And matter of fact, the word slavery didn't even exist. That's an English word that was talking about the Slavics. But that's another conversation for another day. But anyways, debt is a form of slavery. Israelites who became indentured were sold simply to pay off a debt. In the year Jubilee, all debts were forgiven. Thus, all slaves were set free, right? When you lease a vehicle, you are placing yourself in debt slavery. When you rent your house or apply for any type of loan, you are placing yourself in debt slavery. You can't afford to quit your job. You can't afford it. Sure, you're allowed to leave it. You're allowed to leave your job and search for another one. But then what happens when you can't pay that bill? What happens when you can't pay your rent? Hmm? Understand, this capitalist society puts up a front that is doing you a favor by extending you what they call credit. But simply put, debt is slavery, right? You willingly putting yourself behind the sticks. All right. And if you are paying attention, you'll see that so-called blacks are only out to try to outdo one another. When she flexes on the next person with what they got and have access to it, simply to show off how much better they have it than the people who look just like them. That's a lot of people's motivation. So the narrative of that throwing up treasures in heaven has been lost. Nobody's concerned with that. That's why people turn their ears away from the truth. Because why? It's a comfortable thing to be able to please myself and God at the same time, even though there's no scriptural, evidence to back that theory up. People would rather roll with that, right? Hebrews 13:5 says, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because Elohim has said, never will I leave you and never will I forsake you. Yep. Check this out. You can't make this up. The biggest scam in life: paying taxes on money you make, taxes on money you spend, and taxes on things you own that you already paid taxes on with already taxed money. Does that make sense? The struggle is real. And a lot of that is done to throw your focus off, right? Isaiah 55, let's get it. Verses 1-9, it says, oh, everyone who thirsts, right, come to the waters, right? Because the Most High said, hey, that's how you've been trained and taught to receive everything in your life. He got a whole nother system for you, right? Everyone who thirsts, come to the waters. And you who have no silver, come, buy and eat, right? Come, buy wine and milk without silver and without price. Why do you weigh out silver for what is not bread, and your labor for what does not satisfy? Listen to me, and eat what is good, and let your being delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear and come to me. Hear, so that your being lives. And let me make an everlasting covenant with you. The trustworthiness, kindness of David, right? Understand, he says, see, I have given him as a witness to the people, a leader and a commander for the people. See, a nation you do not know, Salakia, a nation you do not know, you shall call. All right. And a nation who does not know you, where am I at? My glasses is foggy. Let me start over. It says, see, a nation you do not know, you shall call, and a nation who does not know you, run to you, because of Yahweh your Elohim and the set apart one of Israel. For he has adorned you. Seek Yahweh while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. Let the wrong forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. Let him return to Yahweh, who has compassion on him, and to our Elohim, for he pardons much. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares Yahweh. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. That is deep right there. Health is wealth, and spiritual health is wealth as well, right? But let's get it. Psalms 119 verses 36-38, it says, incline my heart to your witness, right? And do not and not to own gain, right? This is the instructions from on high. Incline my heart to your witness, and not to own gain, right? Turn away my eyes from looking at the falsehood, and revive me in your way. Establish your word to your servant, which leads to the fear of you. We can't get caught up with all of these distractions, so on and so forth, right? 1 second. Right. Let's get back to it. Because we are at the we're approaching the conclusion, but let's get back into it. Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, it says, "But seek ye first what? The kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and all these matters shall be added to you." So we're not to seek riches first, right? Even though, we need money to, pay for things, sustain ourselves, to eat, right? To clothe, to house, things of that nature. But when it becomes, a thing of passion, right? Where we've closed our eyes, we've closed our ears, and our hearts become thick. We've misinterpreted what the Most High meant by blessings, right? Because they don't really teach you what the scriptural context of blessings and curses all about, right? The blessings were supposed to come by you keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. When you go back to Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 to 14, that's the blessings. The curses come from verses 15 through 68, from you refusing to obey the Most High. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 and verse 10, it says, "He who loves silver is not satisfied with silver." Same thing Bob Marley was telling you, right? "Nor is he who loves wealth and increase," right? That too is futile. Why would Robin Williams hang himself from a doorknob, right? With all that wealth? Why is the concept more money, more problems? Why is it added stress when folks hit the lottery? "He who loves silver is not satisfied with silver, nor he who loves wealth and increase. That too is futile." Why? Because your name's going to be called. It's going to be your turn to answer, right? Not 10 out of 10 of us is going to die and have to answer the question of why. Why was that temporary thing so important to you? Let's keep it moving. It's the conclusion. Like Bob Marley said, he said, money is numbers and numbers never end, right? If it takes money to be happy, right? Your search for happiness will never end. Makes sense to me. Makes sense to me. Brother Chick, come in and give us some wisdom. Good to see you. Shabbat shalom.
Good to see you, bro. Shabbat shalom. Like you pointed out, the first thing I thought of was, when Christ speaks on how hard it is for a rich man to get into heaven, and it's a tough subject to balance, because it can be two things at once. Like you said, money in this construct is needed. We need to feed ourselves. We need to provide. We need to keep a roof over our head. We get that. But at the same time, we have this thing where we long for the freedom of money. And I actually get that, but we end up being enslaved to it. And we see it like you said, we see it out there in the world with rich people. I can speak on it myself. When I first moved to Columbus, I wanted my kids to go to the best schools. I was so caught up in that. I moved in a neighborhood I couldn't really afford. So I was living check to check for years, and I was making it work. I did whatever I had to do to make it work and keeping that reality from them. But as soon as I got to the point where I was making decent money, I was more afraid and nervous than when I wasn't, because now I have something to mess up. And it really, it was weird to me. I remember telling my friends, it's the first time where I really don't have to worry like I was before, but I'm worrying more, because now I don't want to mess up this good thing. So the freedom that we seek, it's hard to find it, because you really have to have a balanced mind. Because I would go as far as to argue that money is the current setup of money is a form of sorcery, because it's not even backed by anything. So they can wipe it out tomorrow, but we still gravitate towards it that much, and still we treat it as such a real thing. I mean, think about it. Our people are more financially well off than ever, and we're more wicked than ever, because we're consumed by it. This thing that tomorrow, if they said we're turning off this computer and it don't exist anymore, we'd be done. But we're so caught up into it, and I'll include all of us. I'm not acting like I'm bigger than it, but it's not a real thing, and you have to be so grounded to traverse it appropriately, because yes, I want to leave something for my kids when I leave, but I want to leave so they can live. Not worried about them being millionaires. I'm not worried about them being billionaires. I just want them to be able to survive, and when being able to put me in the ground and not add that stress, because that's what happens when we die. We add more stress because we didn't think to set them up so they at least cover that. I want to cover those things, but them being rich and having an easy life makes weak men. So I can't really worry about that as much as just want to set them up to understand it and be able to move. But we see all the things that we, on TV, it's, we want to travel, and there's nothing wrong with traveling. That's why I say it's such a hard subject to balance. There's nothing wrong with that, but that can't be the end all to be all. It can't be, I claim I want this money to set my people free, but all I'm really doing is buying chains and going on trips and buying the biggest car and bragging about that. What is it really? Was that your goal initially and you slipped, or was that never your goal in the first place? There's a balance to it, and I think we have to really be connected with the Most High to ensure that gain is coming from Him before we go out and use it appropriately. And I think that's a hard thing to traverse, and I think that's why more conversations like this are needed. Not the conversations on how to be financially literate that we say, when really all they're trying to do is chase the bag, but how can we really use this money? What is this money really? Because initially it was all about the barter system, and that was a healthier system because it was tangible. This thing isn't even really tangible. So how can we really work this the correct way to stay in line? And just to end it off, there's a reason they could have picked any of their holidays to make the gift-giving holiday. They purposely made it the December 25th because it's at the end of the year, which means it's at the end of the fiscal year. Money is everything to them. We can't make it everything to us. That's all I got, bro. Hope it makes sense.
No, that made perfect sense. And I'm glad you ended with that, with that statement, because, that's the underlying point, And then I want to add, or I'd be remiss if I didn't say also that there's a lot of people that are going to fall into deep depression over these holidays because they're not financially able to, give gifts to their children or relatives and so on and so forth. There's some people that are going to go on the deep end and start robbing, and sticking up folks, this, that, and the third, and because they put so much stock into these holidays and how much money they have to have for these wicked, demonic, and false, religions, ceremonies or whatnot. All right. All of it is in vain, but you can just see the level of importance it is for people who have no understanding. Right. And it's important to keep people under that guise of misunderstanding, right? Because it's financially benefiting somebody, right? It'll be a detriment, if all so-called black people woke up, all right, and stopped participating in funding these holidays. Because we don't really realize that, knowingly or unknowingly, you are inadvertently financially supplying or supporting your own oppression. That is what it is. And I'm like you, brother Chick. That's all I got. There's a lot of different conversations that can come from this, right? A lot of different confirmations, or conversations that can come from this, But I'll just stick to the fact that these holidays are wicked, for one. For two, the scriptures tell you not to celebrate them in the first place. All right. And for three, you going broke, trying to do all of these things the Most High told you not to do in the first place. Right. Lies are expensive. Right. And we saved a lot of money by switching to the truth. So we're going to keep it there. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to let we're going to let the Most High's word do what it do. Shabbat shalom to everybody that came through. You know what I'm saying? And it's a part of the lesson. Hopefully you got something from it. You know what I'm saying? The Most High willing, we'll be back next Shabbat with another Shabbat Bible study. You know what I'm saying? Shabbat shalom to the people that I did see that were there. Sister Yasatar de La Paz, Shabbat shalom. Thanks for the share. Sister Alice Bronson, thanks for the share as well. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? The Most High willing, we already know what it is. We know what it is. We can't, how does the saying go? Can't continue to do the same thing, all right, and expect different results, all right? Christ said in John chapter 8, you shall know the truth shall make you free. Right? And a lot of folks, if you come into the truth and you understand it, it'll make you financially free as well. You won't feel that bondage of, I have to get these presents for blah, 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 blah. Understand that religion was going on thousands of years before Christ was even born. But if you know the truth and stop doing those things, you're going to affect the economy. So it's important to keep you under them lies and that strong delusion. But I'm done with it. The Most High willing, we'll be back. So everybody enjoy the rest of your Shabbat. Shabbat shalom, everybody.